In this lesson, we will look at the two functions of the ear, namely hearing and balance. We will begin with the hearing function, but first of all, we need to look at the nature of sound. Any vibrating body, such as guitar strings which are strummed, will create sound waves. When the string vibrates, its movement in one direction pushes the molecules in front of it, compressing them. When the string moves back past its original resting position, it leaves behind a nearly empty space, which is called rarefaction. Meanwhile, the compressed molecules have passed on some of their motion energy to adjoining and more distant molecules, and are returning to fill the void left by the retreating guitar strings. This compression and rarefaction process makes up a compression or longitudinal sound wave, so called because the vibratory motion is forward and backward along the direction in which the wave is travelling. This movement can be depicted as a sinusoidal wave, with the same characteristics as an electromagnetic or light wave. Because sound involves the movement of molecules, sound, unlike light or magnetism, cannot be created in a vacuum, such as in space. Similarly, sound travels quicker where the molecules are close together and are hard to compress. Because if one particle moves in response to a pressure wave, its neighbour will respond quickly, as in metals or billiard balls. The speed of sound in air is therefore slower than in metals, because air is more compressible. In air at 0 degrees Celsius, the speed of sound is 331 meters per second. The lower the temperature of the air, the lower is the speed of sound passing through it. In liquids, the speed of sound is 1000 meters per second, and in a typical solid, more like 5000 meters per second. Sound has various characteristics. One of these is pitch, which refers to whether sound produces a treble or a bass note. Pitch is measured by the frequency of the sound waves, that is, the number of cycles per second. 1 cycle per second is known as 1 Hertz. The more frequent the number of waves per second, the higher the pitch. Place the mouse on the frequency displays to hear the different pitches. Another way of expressing frequency is wavelength. That is, the distance between the top of each wave. So the greater the number of waves in a second, that is, the greater the frequency, the distance between each must be less, and the wavelength shorter. For example, the note A above middle C on a piano has a frequency of 440 cycles per second, or hertz. Multiplying or dividing this figure by 2 to give 880 Hertz or 220 Hertz will also produce an A sound, but will be an octave higher or lower. Sound also has loudness or amplitude. This is the degree of motion of air molecules within the wave, which corresponds to the extent of compression and rarefaction that accompanies the wave. The greater the amplitude of the wave, the harder the molecules strike the eardrum, and the louder the sound is perceived. Sound is nothing other than pressure, and its loudness is measured against a standard scale called decibels, which is a logarithmic scale. Doubling of the pressure adds 3 decibels. So 2 sources of sound with a loudness of 70 decibels will not produce 140 decibels, but 73 decibels. However, of greater importance is the perception of loudness. It has been found that an increase of 10 decibels is perceived as a doubling of loudness. Another attribute of sound is tone. Different instruments playing the same note will sound different. For example, a guitar, a piano, or a tuning fork. This is because, although they may have the same fundamental frequency, for example 440 Hz, which is A above middle C, each will also have different intensities of exact multiples of 440 Hz, called harmonics, such as 880 Hz, 1320 Hz, and so on. These harmonics are what determine the quality of the note, or its tone, and what makes one instrument sound different from another. The human ear is capable of hearing a sound within a very large range, from approximately 20 Hz, which is a very bass pitch, such as double bass, to 20,000 Hz. That is 20 kHz, which is a very high pitch, such as a mosquito. Place the mouse on the images to hear the differences in pitch. The difference between the faintest and the loudest sounds that a human being can detect is about 120 decibels. That is, 120 levels of loudness, which is a range of 1 million in amplitude. The sensitivity of the ear is remarkable. For example, when it is listening to the very quietest sound of 1 decibel, the eardrum vibrates less than the diameter of a hydrogen atom. As a footnote, it is worth explaining the Doppler effect. When a sound source, such as a plane, approaches the listener, the waves in front of the source are crowded together, so the listener receives a larger number of waves than from a stationary source. In other words, frequency of the sound waves increases, which we know increases the pitch. Similarly, as the source moves away, the waves also become less frequent, and the pitch reduces. This Doppler effect principle has applications in such fields as astronomy, car-speed radar, and in medicine, where high-speed sound waves, ultrasound, are used to image unborn babies. The ear is made up of 3 parts: the outer, the middle, and the inner ear. The outer ear comprises the external ear, or pinna, and the auditory canal, or meatus, which combine to locate sound and conduct it to the eardrum, or tympanium, which is located at the end of the auditory canal. The highest sensitivity of the ear, that is, the sound which the ear finds easiest to hear, depends not only upon loudness or amplitude, but also upon the pitch or frequency of the sound. It has been found that peak hearing sensitivity is at about 3,500 to 4,000 Hz. This conveniently corresponds to the middle range of the human voice frequency, which extends from about 200 to 8,000 Hz. There is another enhanced sensitive frequency at 13,500 Hz, which is at roughly 3 times the first sensitive frequency. That is, its third harmonic resonance. Every object, whether it is metal, glass, wood or bone, has a frequency at which it prefers to vibrate. It is said to resonate at this frequency. A half-open tube, such as the auditory canal, also has a preferred frequency. Let us call it X, at which it will resonate. it has been found that the length of the tube at which this resonance occurs is quarter the wavelength of x. Sound, which has a frequency of 3,500 Hz, has a wavelength of 10 centimeters. 1/4 of 10 centimeters is 2.5 centimeters, and this is the length of the auditory canal. So the length of the meatus is highly significant in determining the sound to which we are most sensitive. That is, the middle range of human speech.